Now to a story in Canberra that raises important questions about how the Albanese government spends your money. As The Australian reported this week, a firm operated by Ben Hubbard, a former chief of staff to Julia Gillard, has secured several contracts from the government worth nearly $134,000 since Labor came to power. In addition to that, he was paid public money over a 4-month period to assist the party with the transition to government. Great work if you can get it. So how did he get it? Senate estimates this week.
Went to an organisation called Creswell Advisory, operated by a fellow named Ben Hubbard, who was Julia Gillard's former chief of staff. The contract was issued by a limited tender. How many tenderers were part of that limited tender?
It was a limited tender, and Creswell Advisory was the only supplier involved in the process.
He's a lucky man, this Mr. Hubbard, and he has very good connections, as The Australian reported in a follow-up piece. Anthony Albanese's chief of staff, Tim Gartrell, instructed senior ministers to meet with the former Labor staffer, Ben Hubbard, and seek his counsel on the establishment of their offices months before the strategic advisor won key government contracts. An email obtained by The Australian reveals Mr. Gartrell told ministers and assistant ministers on July 29 to spend up to 45 minutes with Mr. Hubbard. So the 45-minute meet and greet with the ministers took place before he was awarded these lucrative contracts. And as The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald reported this week, former Labor Minister Greg Combet, who served in the Rudd and Gillard governments alongside Anthony Albanese, was in December awarded a $46,000 contract advising the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet without an open tender process. Here is Senate estimates once again.
These went to Greg Combet Proprietary Limited. So what were the details of the services being provided by Greg Combet Proprietary Limited?
He's giving us advice and helping support us as part of a number of roundtables that are taking place with industry and with unions.
Oh, so that was a limited tender too. So there were, how many other tenderers were part of that? You're saying no one? It was just Mr. Combet that was considered for that role?
We specifically sought out Mr. Combet's services for this work.
So you sought him out. So
yes.
Is there no one else out there that would be able to provide those sorts of services?
Now, to be clear, we're not alleging any impropriety, but awarding multiple contracts to former Labor staffers and a minister, as well as providing special access for one party, is not a good look, especially for an incoming government that has campaigned hard on integrity. It's a worthy public interest story, and The Australian and 9 newspapers should be congratulated for running it. But did you catch it on the ABC? Try as hard as we did, we were unable, using selected keywords, to find anything via their website search screen. So we contacted them yesterday asking 2 simple questions. Did the ABC run anything on the Hubbard or Combet contracts? If not, why not? We are yet to receive a response. Daisy, what do you make of a government campaigning so hard on transparency and then appearing to operate in a way which is completely against those election promises?
This is just, dare I say it, so typical of the left and I think left-wing political parties. What we notice about the left ideologically is that they're all about, particularly progressives, morals and look at me, I'm such a good person, and integrity and, transparency, all these buzzwords that Labor put forward, and also the teals, it's all very, very tealian. They put forth these buzzwords to kind of, fool people into voting for them because they're so desperate to appear to be good people. The problem with that approach, Jack, and I think I've said this before, is that if you set standards that high for other people, you have to meet them yourself. Because if you don't, you look like a hypocrite and a complete fool. This is what has happened here, very much so, with this new Labor government and in this issue of, dare I say it, integrity. Like, you have to walk the line that you set for yourself. Will we see more and more of this going forward? I think so, Jack. I think so.
Now, Sophie, before we go, I want you to run us through a bit of a scandal that's happened at The Age this week.
So, Jack, there was a report in The Age earlier this week that talked about Liberal MP Jason Wood, and in it, I'll just read the first part from the story. It said that the former Liberal government announced at least $1.56 million in safer community grants in Labor-held target seats in the final weeks of the 2022 election without submitting them to the Department of Home Affairs for vetting. Now, it's since come out, The Age have run a clarification and a correction over this article. I've seen a letter from Jason Wood to The Age where he says that these projects listed were re-election commitments and they weren't part of any rounds of the Safer Communities Fund packages, and they were made during the caretaker mode prior to the election. Therefore, the Department of Home Affairs needed no involvement. Jason Wood also said that the reporter did not contact him prior to the article running. This was quite a few errors in this story, and the 9 newspapers had to run corrections this week and also on their website stating that there were many factual errors in this story.
Very embarrassing when you swing big, but you forget to do the basic things like ask people for comment. Daisy Cousins, Sophie Ellsworth, thank you so much for joining me tonight.